this meeting to order. First up is roll call.
Council President Perez.
Here.
Councilmember Van.
Here.
Councilmember Benedetti.
Here.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Here.
Councilmember McIrvin.
Here.
Councilmember Prince.
Here.
And Councilmember Corman.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Okay, first up, we have a proclamation, and it's for the Juneteenth 2020.
Proclamation. Whereas we acknowledge the notice of freedom given to the slaves of the state of Texas on June 19th, 1865, and whereas we give honor and respect on this day to the suffering of our ancestors, and we acknowledge the evils of slavery and its aftermath, and whereas we think about the moment in 1888 when 300 black men from Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky were determined to escape the terrorism of the post-Civil War South as they boarded trains for the Washington Territory and settled in King County mining camps. And whereas the story and outspokenness of James Shepperson, an educated black man who settled in Roslyn, Washington in 1888, inspired many other blacks to flee the South at great risk and pursue new opportunities in Washington state as miners. And whereas we acknowledge African American freedom, contributions, and achievements with this community, past and present. And whereas during the Juneteenth event, we appreciate the African American experience and celebrate the inclusion of all races, ethnicities, and nationalities, and whereas we commit to working together toward equity for all and expanding economic, educational, and career opportunities for all of those in our community. Now, therefore, I, Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2020 to be Juneteenth 2020 in the City of Renton, and I encourage all citizens to join me in this celebration, and witness whereof have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 15th day of June 2020, signed Armando Pavoni, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President, or Councilman Prince.
I move the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Prince and seconded by Council President Perez that the proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, thank you. Tonight we have Dr. Linda Smith here has agreed to accept the proclamation. Dr. Smith.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you all for the proclamation. I had wanted Christopher Robinson here, and he looked like he has a challenge getting on, but I'll speak for him. I wanted him to accept it on behalf of the Renton African American community. He's a young leader, and he's worked a lot with our young people at Harambe, and so we're just grateful for him. This is really a great time of celebration, and we do need it now. But Juneteenth is about remembering and honoring the history and celebrating Black culture. So we're grateful today that is acknowledged here in our city. And so on behalf of Christopher Robinson, we are grateful to accept it. And because of COVID-19, we were unable to do our Juneteenth celebration, and the city staff have pulled together a video reflective of our past celebrations, so we're grateful for that. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to Reverend James Barnett and Reverend Ken Curl, who have been instrumental in the past couple of years in terms of helping us to put it together. And, when we can do it again in 2021, we'll be back out. But you'll see a video here shortly reflective of the past work. So again, thanks to all of you, and thank you for just supporting our community and encouraging and, just keeping all of us lifted up, in times as these. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Miss.
Hello, I'm Mayor Armando Pavoni. I'm happy once again to proclaim June 19th as Juneteenth this year. Please join me in this virtual celebration.
One of the ways that we truly make Renton an inclusive city and one in which everyone feels valued and respected is if we really begin to share and invite each other to our cultural celebrations and events so that we have a more of a unified community where we acknowledge and understand and learn more about each other and learn and have fun.
I am black. I am black. You can quote me on that. I am unapologetically black.
Juneteenth is an opportunity for us to really educate ourselves, but not necessarily educating us as African American, but educating the general public about the history of slave and about the history of this country in terms of violence against black and brown bodies. When people know better, I think they do better. And so when people learn the history of the pain and suffering that we've endured, it awakens their consciousness to rise and to see us as one of them, but also to help to bring about solution in our community. So I think Juneteenth has been very enlightening for us. We've had amazing speakers that have shared history, like Dr. Maxine Mim, who is really a foundational root in the King County area. And I think our mayor and our city officials who walked alongside of us, who have helped to support the program, who've bought into it, really makes a difference in terms of us moving forward in a way that brings about healing and wholeness in our community. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Okay, next up we have administrative report.
Okay, I just have one item, Mr. Mayor. It's a little lengthy, but I think it's important. So, city staff understands that walking and being outside are essential activities for mental and physical well-being during this unusual time. Using the governor's Safe Start phased approach as a guide, King County has met criteria for Phase 1.5. Outdoor recreation is operating at Phase 2, and groups up to 5 people may gather safely. Park amenities will reopen as Safe Start thresholds allow. These decisions will also consider available resources to manage park activities. The tennis and pickleball courts are open. Swim beaches at Coulon and Kennydale Beach Parks will not be guarded this year, and warning signs will be posted in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. All vehicle and pedestrian park gates will open on Monday, June 15th, including the north and south pedestrian gates at Coulon Park. Meadowcrest Park will remain closed until later phases. All picnic shelters will remain closed for the season. The boat launch facility at Coulon Park is open. Only foot traffic is permitted on the narrow trails at Coulon Park. No bicycles, skateboards, or rollerblades. With the exception of service animals, dogs are not allowed at Coulon or Kennydale Beach Parks. At all other city parks and trails, dogs are allowed on 6-foot leashes. Cedar River Dog Park is an off-leash site located along the Cedar River Trail and across from the Renton Community Center at 1500 Hauser Way. And for your safety, follow directions on all posted signage. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, next we will open audience comment period. It remains the strong intent of the city to have public comment regularly included on our agendas. However, the city reserves the right to eliminate or end these public comment periods and or remove anyone from the meeting at any point if we deem the system is being abused or is no longer suitable to allowing the city to conduct its necessary business. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to speak. You'll be called upon by Julia Medzigian, Council Liaison. Ms. Medzigian will call the speaker's name and unmute the appropriate microphone, which will send an automatic prompt to the speaker that you have been unmuted. This is the speaker's cue that it's their turn to speak. Please begin your comments by stating your name, city of residence, and the topic you're addressing. Speakers should be able to see the timer near the clerk. When the timer turns from green to yellow, please wrap up your comments. Ms. Medzigian will then mute each speaker at the 5-minute mark. Ms. Madzigian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, my name is Julia Madzigian, City Council Liaison. I'll begin by calling the names of those previously signed up to speak. When I call your name, I will unmute you, and you will have 5 minutes to speak. Please begin by stating your name and city of residence. First, I have listed on my pre-sign up sheet is Christus Strasbach.
Thank you, Julia. I'd like to yield my initial turn to Joseph Todd. Can he begin, please?
Just a moment. Joseph Todd.
Hi, this is Joseph Todd. Hello, council members, Council President Perez, Mayor Armando. I'm here to speak today as we as residents got together, some of us as residents got together and had some conversations around the current unrest that we're seeing across the country and how Black men, Black people, period, have been treated from a perspective of police brutality for years and years. And we as concerned citizens want our community to be a safe community, to be an engaged community where we have a great relationship with the police and we have a great relationship with city leaders. One of the big things for me is that as we've had these discussions, there are some really key things that we can do as a city, as a community, to make sure that we're doing some great things around our commitment as citizens and also as our commitment as our first responders to the community. And so I want to jump right in and talk about 4 areas that I really think we need to focus on and that we are demanding from a citizen perspective that the city focuses on. One is budget transparency into the police department so we can really understand the types of training where funding is being spent and what's being prioritized from a city perspective. And when I say transparency, I don't mean transparency from a perspective of sending me to a website so that I understand, like, from a budgeting perspective where the money's being spent. I'm saying I want to understand from a totality of how is the police department spending that money in crime prevention? How are they taking seizure funds and using those funds to help out communities and really understanding how the police department can engage with the community? How are we spending those funds when it comes to dealing with mental health and those types of things? That's what I want to see when I'm talking about budget. As I also mentioned, mental health funding. Too many times, police are dispatched to help folks that have mental issues. And quite frankly, the police are being asked to do way too much. And we really need to figure out where we need to prioritize the police dollars to do the police work. And those other things that are ancillary to police departments, they need to be budgeted and prioritized. And one of those is mental health. I also want to get a good perspective and a good understanding on the hiring practices. You know, are we looking across the demographics of the city and making sure the city looks like its residents from a staffing perspective? And then also, I like to see some real deep understanding of a guaranteed citizen oversight committee. A committee that actually looks at when citizens are saying that, hey, I've had an issue with the way the police have pulled me over or talked to me or did something that brutalized me. I need to be able to come to like a citizens committee, an oversight committee, where we can really talk about what that means and what and how it's affected by that police officer, and then what steps can be taken for investigations and that type of thing when it comes to jumping in and finding out, hey, how do we clear up the engagement of our police departments with our citizens? And then finally, I really want to understand, why can't we have more of our police be from our community? A lot of times when you just drive into a city to do policing and you don't live there, there's a whole different way that you treat the residents that live in that community. And so those are the things that I'm looking for, that I'm demanding of my city, that I pay taxes in. and then I yield my time back to Krista.
Thank you. I'm aware of the time. Can I have my full 5 minutes, please? Thank you. Good evening, President Perez, Mayor Pavoni, members of the council. My name is Krista Strasbaugh, and I am a Renton resident. I'm speaking with you tonight as a concerned citizen in our collective fight against white supremacy. I am concerned by the city's response to George Floyd's murder and the anti-Black racism that fuels racial violence and police brutality in our communities. I will begin by sharing some personal experience and would like to leave you with demands put forth by a cross-racial team of fellow residents. This winter at Tiffany Park Elementary School, Renton Police Officer Clayton Davis, who is a white male, made a unilateral agreement with our school principal, who is also a white male, to make regular visits on our campus after being rezoned from the Benson Hill area. Families of color requested a meeting and expressed our concerns directly to Officer Davis and Principal Steve Lesko, but visits continued. This situation demonstrates a dangerous lack of awareness on the part of RPD and the Renton School District. Many families do not feel safe having armed officers at school and or allowing outside entities to expose their children to the institution of policing without their consent or access. Deputy Chief Van Valley recently made a public statement in response to the global uprising around Black Lives Matter. In this statement, the chief explains work that has been done to prevent excessive use of force by police officers and encourages residents to contact another RPD representative with questions. I was disheartened to find no mention of implicit bias or outside accountability in the chief's statement. We know that there are many well-intentioned police officers doing good work. We also know that impact outweighs intent, and undiscovered, unaddressed implicit bias has proven to be lethal in our country over and over again. Finally, regarding Mayor Pavoni's recent newsletter, the online article features a feel-good story about cross-racial relations between RPD and one Renton resident. I am not questioning the validity of the story or the lived experience of the Black man it centers. I am, however, very concerned that purposeful effort was applied toward our city's image based on a singular account, instead of acknowledging harm that Renton has participated in, perpetuated, and benefited from, past and present. We need leadership willing to take actionable steps that undo systems hurting our Black and Brown communities. Cities all over the country are now doing the work to uproot and dismantle racist structures. This is not achievable if we are more concerned with cosmetic compliance than we are about real practice and policy. And that leads me to my final points. In solidarity with Joe, Renton residents are requesting the following from the city: transparency in police budget, requirement that 1/3 of police officers live in the communities they serve, change in city hiring practices to reflect demographics of community residents, establishment of a community policing program that guarantees citizen oversight, and restructured or more funding for mental health. It is both my honor and my duty to participate in this conversation. Thank you to the people of color who have allowed me to bear witness and advocate with you. To the council, thank you for your time and careful consideration of our demands.
Okay, next I have on my list Lilia Nichols. Lilia? we go. Lilia, can you?
Okay. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lilia Nichols, and I come to you as a mother, a registered nurse, a business owner, and a resident of the Renton City. But most importantly, I come to you as a mother who is terrified. I thank you for having me on this call, and I thank you for taking the time to listen to me. As a mother and a newly resident of the city of Renton, we've only been here for 6 months. I never would have imagined my 11-year-old son's interaction with the police would have come within our first week of moving to the area. My son's first day of middle school in the Renton School District, he was delayed arriving home because the bus had to pull over while the bus awaited police for de-escalation of a student fight. As a frightened, worried mother, I was never notified by school officials of the incident. My son eventually came home about an hour later, and his exact words were, "Mom, this is too much." As a new resident of Renton, we came from the Graham location where we never saw police in the schools, nor did we worry or have concern for our safety in the schools. By the second day of school, my son had his backpack stolen from his locker, which was a sentimental item to him. I informed the principal of this issue, and we were assured that the safety department would review the cameras and find my son's backpack. The backpack still has not been found. The principal at the school assured me that the safety officer was always on campus, and when I later asked my son how he felt about this, he said the police being at school, he wonders all the time what happened and what are they here for. Our second encounter with the Renton police came about a month after our move here. One afternoon, a knock at the door startled us, and when we opened the door and seen the police standing there, I asked him what was going on. He said a gentleman up the street says the boys who live here were trespassing. I immediately called my son downstairs and let him know that this is what it looks like when someone calls the police on the culture. I informed him that he needed to listen and take in everything that was going on. The policeman never tried to ease my son's fear. He told him just stay away from the man's house. The conversations following these encounters have been hard for me, even harder lately as I try to explain to my sons what's going on in the world. I'm working as hard as I can as a single Black mother to be a law-abiding citizen in the city of Renton, but I can't tell you that I'm not terrified that one day my sons will walk out the house and fit the description. We are scared citizens, we are concerned, and I am tired. As an advocate in the community and a mother, I'm asking you not just listen, but take measurable actions for our city, using your platform to assure change and that representation is the line that live here. Thank you.
Okay, next I have on my list Whitney King. Is that Whitney Lee listed here?
Hi, this is Whitney King. I'm a resident of Renton. I am going to speak today on behalf of another resident that resides in Renton. There were some solutions that he brought forward, which were call to reimagine the system, not just to improve upon, but to restructure, build a new, think big. Solution 1, police officers statewide should be required to wear QR codes on their uniforms that citizens can use a mobile device to scan and report them and their actions in real time. The QR code would take the user, citizen, voter to a website that displays who the officer is, their policing history, and any disciplinary actions they've had in the past. The voting public should be allowed to see who is policing them and reward the good ones and discipline the bad ones. With enough data, we could predict which officers need to cool down and take some paid time off for mental health evaluations, and which officers should be awarded with promotions. The interface would allow the user to alert the good officers in the area to come and back up the officer and de-escalate a situation that may arise. Solution 2, change the practice of hiring officers under 5'10". Results show that being tall was perceived as beneficial in patrol work. Furthermore, the authority of short police officers is challenged more often by the public, and short female police may have a particular focus on verbal communication. Tallness will probably be perceived as beneficial in fields in which physical conflicts arises. And solution 3, get access to camera data. The citizens should have access any and all footage that is recorded in public using cameras that taxpayers pay for. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have signed up Trinice Williams. I don't see Trinice in my audience. Trinice, if you're out there, would you please raise your hand?
Am I muted? This is Trinice.
Go ahead, Trinice.
Hello, my name is Trinice, and I'm a citizen of Renton, and I come to propose that the city of Renton vigorously adapt fresh new. Okay, I'm gonna start over. My name is Trinice, and I propose that the Renton City Council vigorously adapt fresh new approaches to their hiring process to create a demographically balanced workforce, with law enforcement being its priority. I'll start with an innovative concept such as reversing the school-to-prison pipeline. This can be reimagined by allowing once convicted felons a chance at reciprocity through service. Hiring people with a criminal background to police their own communities. Although this may sound absurd to plain-minded people, other industries like the tech industry has adapted these ideas. Let's take the ever-growing issue of cybersecurity. For example, when one person on the dark web steals innocent people's information, it is indeed a crime, right? So tell me why the dark market has appealed to the very same hackers by hiring them to protect their businesses. Major tech companies like Google seek hackers because who better to know the intentions of a hacker than a hacker? To maintain my point, the police force should hire men and women with criminal background histories and put them back. No, they should hire men and women who have criminal backgrounds and let them re-serve their poverty-stricken neighborhoods or whatever their neighborhoods look like. Who better to communicate and recognize the language of the people other than the people who once lived there? I contend with the idea that felons being released from prison should struggle with landing job opportunities. Unfortunately, these people are deemed as disposable because of their relationship with crime. If that is the case, let's not obliterate the fact that cops too carry out misconduct and that is oftentimes forgiven. Let's offer a forgiveness program for released felons to rejuvenate and police their own community. These people, again, know the language and can help reimagine the hiring process to balance the demographics of the community in relation to law enforcement. Along with a transparent budget, one third of the law enforcement's demographics reflecting this community, establishing a community policing program, and reconstructing funding for mental health. I believe these ideas can help build a stronger community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next I have on my list, Lanissa Youngquist. Go ahead, Lanissa. Lanissa, you'll have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Greetings, President Perez, Mayor Pavone, and council members. My name is Lanissa Youngquist, and I live in Renton. I'm voicing my concern for our city safety and police engagement with our citizens. When our officers in Renton are on duty, their duty is to serve and protect. Your citizens' eyes are certainly looking at what this means to us and to them now more than ever. Most importantly, what is their accountability to holding this up? When they arrive on a scene to serve, their first impression should be that of trust, empathy, and prepared to engage with the citizen as a community member, not seeking fault and prepared to defend themselves. As for to protect, our officers are our allies. They have a brotherhood, sisterhood within their own system. Of course, their job is to be united, work together, and support one another, but at what limit? What we have learned too many times and too late is that within these police relationships, they are more loyal to the badge than to the community. In a moment, will they protect themselves before a citizen? Will they physically and legally protect one another before a community member? Will they be our guardians or each other's? How are we as citizens able to see accountability when an officer or officers have a violation of engagement or conduct? Do we have body cameras in place on officers yet? Do we have training to focus on engaging citizens to support our diverse needs? Do we have mental health training that could serve more necessary to de-escalate situations? Do we have a support system to respond to non-emergency issues when residents need on-call social worker support rather than a police officer who is armed? Do we have transparency in these training methods? We are Renton. We are supposed to be ahead of the curve. These things should already be happening. They should be in place. Imagine other cities looking to us saying, oh, they've got it figured out. Renton has the structure in place to support their citizens as a community, and they trust their police to serve them and protect them. The community feels safe and supported. Their crime and arrests are down. And how do they do it? Show us. They would look to us because we must stay ahead of the curve. We cannot wait for Renton, Washington to be the next headline in the news of police brutality. We're going to be ahead of that because it's in motion. We, the citizens, are telling you how to protect and serve us. We know you hear us. Now, take action. Our demands are transparency in police budget, require 1 of 3 of police officers to live in the community they police, change city hiring practices to reflect demographics of residents, establish community policing program that guarantees citizen oversight, and fund mental health. And please understand my voice is just one tonight, but it speaks for a sea of community members who share these concerns and are ready to see these demands met. Thank you all for your time here tonight.
Okay, thanks, Lanissa. I've got Suways Hussein signed up, but I don't see Suways. If you're out there, Suways, could you raise your hand? Okay, that's all I have pre-registered to speak. For those signed into Zoom, if you would like to speak, please use your computer to raise your hand now. Okay, I don't see anybody. If you've called into Zoom, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. Okay, Mina Merchant, you'll have to unmute yourself now. There you go.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Mayor Pavoni, President Perez, and Renton City Council. My name is Mina Merchant. I have been living here in Renton for almost 10 years, and I'm proud to live in the city for many reasons, but the biggest one for me personally is our city's diversity. I am also very passionate about public art. In 2016, I created an organization called the Owl Project with the notion that the act of creating public art could and would bring our community closer together. Last year, we were able to create a mural that was actually about the diversity of our city on the wall behind Carco Theater facing the river. It was painted by the community members during Renton River Days. Something happened to us as a society when we all watched the brutal murder of George Floyd on video. A barrier was shattered for many people, and for the first time, many people around us woke up to something that has been there for hundreds of years, the brutality of systemic racism against Black people in our country. As the protests have been unfolding across the country, Mayor Bowser of Washington, D.C. did something really bold. She had the words "Black Lives Matter" painted in giant yellow letters on a main road in the city. This act of creation, this declaration for all to see, has started a wave of other such public declarations in many cities throughout the country. Last week, a massive Black Lives Matter mural was created in the Capitol Hill area of Seattle. Once I saw that first mural painted in DC, I knew this was something that had to be replicated, not just in our city, but in every city in this country. this is an opportunity for the city of Renton to make a public declaration of their support of and solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement and the Black community here in Renton. I created a petition to see if the community at large was in favor of this idea. In the last few days, we now have about 975 signatures. I've had people of all colors and types and all demographics offer help in terms of people power, artistic power, and other resources. What we need is to get the support of the mayor along with the city council, and we need that support in order to help make this vision become a reality. We'll need help to find the road for the greatest visibility, for the yellow road paint, and for security and safety as the community comes together to paint this. I envision this to be a community event where people can come together and make it happen and also witness it happening. I've spoken with Dr. Linda Smith, among other members of the Black community in Renton, and I've received nothing but support. The idea would be to offer this as an opportunity to any Black artists who wish to participate, but I want to also be clear. This is really meant to be an offering to the Black community, that we all stand together in the fight against systemic racism. Having a massive visual reminder of this commitment will be so very powerful for all of us. So today, I am asking for your help to make this happen. To make it happen, there are lots of bureaucratic systems that stand in the way of an idea becoming real. I would ask that you help me, along with the community members that are all coming together for this effort to get through those barriers so we can make this bold statement in a timely and effective manner. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mina. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the city clerk if he's got anyone on the telephone that would like to speak. Jason?
My name, for the record, is Jason Seth. I'm the city clerk. Is there anyone on the regular telephone line who would like to comment tonight? Is there anybody on the phone line who would like to comment? I hear no one, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, next up is consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Perez.
I move that the council concur with the consent agenda as published.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Council President Perez, seconded by Council Member Corman, that the council concur with the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. Unfinished business, Council President Perez.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Van.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Benedetti.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurven.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Transportation Committee has a committee report.
Okay, Transportation Aviation Committee report. Professional services agreement with Petit Incorporated for construction management services. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve the professional services agreement with Petit Incorporated to provide construction management services totaling $1,539,857.34 for the Williams Avenue South and Wells Avenue South conversion project.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurven.
I move that the council concur with the Transportation Aviation Committee report.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember McGurven, seconded by Councilmember Corman, that the council concur with the Transportation Committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Councilmember Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Corman.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, next up is legislation. We have one resolution and one ordinance.
Okay, the resolution is regarding remote meetings and public hearings. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, providing for meetings and public hearings of the City Council, council committees, all city boards and commissions, and hearing examiner hearings to be held electronically due to the COVID-19 public health emergency.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Perez.
I move the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Council President Perez, seconded by Councilmember O'Halloran. The council adopt the resolution as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries.
Okay, next we have an ordinance for second and final reading. This is regarding the collection of existing sales tax per the SHB 1406 for affordable housing. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing an additional sales and use tax for affordable and supportive housing in accordance with Substitute House Bill 1406, Chapter 338, Laws of 2019, RCW 82-14-540, amending Sections 510.1 and 510.2 of the Renton Municipal Code, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Perez.
I move the first reading. I'm sorry.
Second reading.
No, it's second.
Second reading. So I move the ordinance to be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Council President Perez, seconded by Councilmember McGurven, that the ordinance be adopted as read. This is the second reading. It requires a roll call.
Council President Perez.
Aye.
Councilmember Van.
Aye.
Councilmember Benedetti.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Aye.
Councilmember McGurven.
Aye.
Councilmember Prince.
Aye.
And Councilmember Corman.
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor. All ayes.
Thank you. Okay, new business. Council President Perez.
Yeah. I'm looking for my new business. Sorry. Is it a little bit disorganized today? So thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, 22nd at 5:30, we will have the Committee of the Whole via video conference. We have one item in the agenda, ending structural racism and achieving racial equity. And at 7 p.m. on Monday, June 22nd, we will have the City Council meeting via video conference. That will be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Van.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't have committee meetings, but I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the residents who spoke today, and that I appreciate your comment and in light of everything that's happening. I've heard some other community residents, and I think someone also sent via email that council received regarding the mural. And this is the first time I've heard it on council. And I don't know what is the logistics and the budgets and so forth. But with the same sentiment, and our city and our colleagues from 2 meetings ago approving the resolution to have the city draft a resolution to end structural racism and to achieve racial equity in Renton, similar to Evanston, I do think that it's worth acknowledging, and also for me to make a motion tonight to refer the matter of creating a mural in solidarity and to celebrate our Black community that says Black Lives Matter in the city of Renton. So I asked my colleague to vote on this matter.
So Councilmember Van, before we make a motion, can I tell you that the administration does have this information, and it was passed on to staff already. So Public Works is looking at it in terms of roads. The Community Services is looking at it, and so is CHIPS Department. So this is something that the administration already has, and we're already taking a look at it. So I don't think the information has all been tabulated to get back to, I forget her last name, Sina?
Merchant?
Mina Merchant.
Mina Merchant, yes. Okay. We heard from a lot of people today. So yes, I believe she emailed me last week sometime, and I forwarded it on. So we'll be getting back to you and back to her shortly.
Oh, perfect. Then you guys are ahead of me a step. This is just the first time I've heard it on council. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you have any other new business?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Benedetti.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGurven.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any committee meetings to announce, but I do want to concur with Councilmember Van's comments that I appreciate those who took the time to testify tonight and want them to know that they've been heard. And I know that as a city, this is something we're committed to, and I'm ready to keep on with that.
But that's all. Councilmember Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I actually have some new business. Finance Committee is going to meet on Monday, June 22nd via video conference. We have 4 items on the agenda. Watchdog grant funds, community development block grant funds, renewal of the city's property insurance, and vouchers. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Corman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I also want to say how much I appreciate all the speakers tonight. And I think some of the comments we can incorporate into our discussion about institutional racism. And I'm glad to, and I appreciate that you're looking into the mural possibilities. And with that, I'd also like to announce a Planning and Development Committee meeting for June 22nd at 4:15 p.m. It's a video conference. 2 items on the agenda. The first is docket number 15, and the second item is emerging issues in CEP. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. What is the wish of the council?
Move adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Prince, seconded by Councilmember Corman that we adjourned. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, thank you all. We are adjourned.